are we straight into the lightning talks? Yep. Thank you. In that case, do you want this?
Yes, I'm first.
Next up is Jen.
Our chair replacement procedure did not say anything about getting rid of the chair because of using Comic Sans. So I'm afraid that this group are going to be exposed to my slides for a while. So, lightning talk. Slides which you've seen in the breaks saying about wireless network here were not exactly accurate because there is another wireless, actually two wireless networks, which I believe we all should be using. It's IPv6-Only network available and still will be available till the end of the meeting. So you can see SSID, you can see the password, which also is an SLA for that network. I would really encourage you to use it and tell me what's wrong. But I also would like to thank RIPE and CC, particularly Marco, Colin, and Menno, who made it happen. And for Cisco Systems, who helped us with NAT64 solutions, so you guys could access those pool resources which don't have IPv6 yet, and v4 only. So just a big round of applause. Cool. So I just wanted to let you know that v6 actually works. But before I tell you that it works, I realize that I probably need to explain to some of people in this room how exactly this network works, because I had a conversation yesterday in the lobby, so I had to explain kind of general design. So it basically, for v6 to v6 traffic is simple, yeah, just go into internet and so on. If your machine has only v6 address and you try to access example.com, which has only v4 address, right, it's going to be a problem. So when your application asks for quad-day record for example.com, the magic DNS 624 server finds out that, oh, there is no actually v6 address for that resource, so it replies you with crafted special v6 address, which actually includes encode real v4 address of the resource, and then the magic router provided by Cisco Systems does the translation. So for your device, it's just v6 to v6 traffic, and for v4 internet, it's just normal v4 packet between a NAT64 translator and the remote site. So quite simple. Because we did not actually communicate it properly before the meeting, so unfortunately there are not so many users on that network. Let's see actually how many. Thanks, Colin, for providing me statistics. So for a week, we've seen 85 unique clients connected to that network, which is about 5% of the total unique clients seen on the conference network at all. And the peak we reached on yesterday, I actually don't have statistics for today, so yesterday it was about 4% of total clients seen. Basically the Wednesday graphs is like this, so about 5 p.m. we got about 30 unique clients in the same time. Apparently I can see some leftover whiskey both after 8 p.m. Actually, I think it's the first time when we try to get data on what exactly might get broken with users. So thanks to everyone who replied to me and told me that things are working fine or if things are actually broken. I am collecting a kind of list, so I hope the next time we're going to have a kind of list of known issues for this network. But in general, I could see two types of problems. First, your application is assuming too much, and I assume that, okay, there is no v4 address, there is no internet connectivity. So I message from time to time, not all the time on iPhones, try to fall back to SMS, assuming there is no connectivity. Actually, Andrew Yurchenko opened the bug like a couple of years ago. The bug was closed, but I still need to follow up on what's going on because it's not happening all the time. The similar issue was reported for airmail. And another problem is when your application is not actually asking for Quad A, so DNS 6.4 could not do any magic tricks. So your application just asked for a record, receive a record, could not reach IPv4 address. It happened for Dropbox desktop application, as per TCP dump I found, for Microsoft Link, and for some IRC instant messenger clients. So please use it. Please let me know if it works or not, because we'd like to see more users, more problems, and probably at some point one day, all wireless networks should be just v6 only. But to get there, we need to fix all those problems which I mentioned and other problems which I have not mentioned because I don't know about them yet. And that's it for me. Questions?
We have a question at the back, Mike. Yep.
I am the back mic. Hi, Aaron Hughes, 6Connect. Just wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing your configs for 6.4 for the Cisco and for the DNS server so people can set up their own experimental networks and provide feedback.
It's a good idea. I think it's more question to RIPE entity who are running this thing. What I would like, by the way, to mention that we got a small group of volunteers to probably write a kind of best practices for running v6 only networks. We had some discussion this week, and I do hope that we might get some information to share on the next meeting. Because apparently, yes, there are some things you should do, other things you should not do when you're doing v6 only, like conference networks, yeah.
And one other suggestion, since I'm the only one standing here, for the next RIPE meeting, might I suggest that you make the actual RIPE meeting primary one, the 6.4 network, and make a secondary network?
We have had this conversation many times with RIPE, so it's RIPE NCC call. I would love to do this, but I'm pretty sure to do this, we still need to fix all those lovely applications which are broken. So if you have support contracts with some of those companies, please tell them that their stuff does not work on your network.
We had a comment at the back. Marco, did you want to respond directly, or?
Yeah, I want to, if I can. Indeed, what Jen says, we would love to swap if we are sure that you and all the people around you attending this meeting, all 700, don't come and complain to us if things are broken. So indeed, like Jen said, fix the bugs and we're happy to swap.
So Blake Willis with L33 Networks. Aaron, to answer your question, I believe it was at the RIPE at, I'm not sure what it is actually, but at the RIPE at Athens, Andrew Yuchenko gave a presentation on this that had the configs that he was using. It's probably evolved since then, but if you just look for the Cisco, specifically iOS XR, iOS XE, NAT 6.4 configs, and search for like Andrew Yuchenko's name, you'll find the presentation that tells you how to do that. Another question for you is, do you have plans to make like a name and shame list of applications that don't work on that network that could be made highly publicly visible somewhere? So,
okay, there is actually wiki on internet, like test IP, the wiki page, which actually lists some known issues. I'm going to make a list based on this week to find out what of those problems might be solved before the next meeting. So I do hope that by what is going to be November, we might get here a kind of list of applications, and I do hope they're going to be shorter than the list I have now, but who knows, maybe it's going to be longer. Sure. Yeah, but we'll see, because for some bugs, like, we might just need to talk to vendors and get them fixed, because probably nobody complained to them about. So I suspect that, for example, for Dropbox, not many people actually tried. So I reported this, we'll see how it goes.
Sure. So for just to comment on Aaron's other question about making the primary network v6 only like that, I think that could probably happen if you implemented 4.6.4 on that. I mean, obviously we can talk to Andrew about that later or something, but it would require an architectural change of what's in place now. But anyway, we can take that offline. It is IPv6 only on the client. Anyway, Sorry, we'll talk about that later.
Hi, Dmitry here. You know what had happened? I enabled the IPv6 on one of my phones, and I was using it I was planning to turn it off. You know what? It didn't break. I didn't really notice I was using that, so I guess that's a success. But
Great.
still, for those folks who found something doesn't work, maybe you need just a little like kind of paper signed by the RIPE NCC technical desk. Not that it will help it, but like a journal where you can come and write in, or maybe leave an email like, you know, something doesn't work, or maybe a wiki would also be better. So people can just kind of, you know, lodge, not the complaint, just keep a record. What specific scenarios? Something very simple that people can just add to. Or like a Etherpad or another simple resource.
Okay, so far the reporting were quite simple. People sent me email and it wasn't so many issues.
I mean, if you didn't scale, right? You know.
I do hope we are not going to see so many issues, so it's not going to scale. I'm actually hope that we're going to see less and less issues.
I think we're going to see some more.
If things stop scaling, I'll think about how can we make it better. But so far, I don't think that it's worth spending time on inventing something to track the problems when I could do it probably faster.
Oh, thanks. Another thing maybe worth to sharing specifically DNS server access and translation stats to see. It would be interesting to see how those issues play together.
You mean you want publicly accessible DNS 624? It actually was one of the topics I would like to bring at the end of this session. Okay. So we might discuss it later. Let's just postpone this discussion.
So you're thinking about that? Okay, cool. Thank you.
It would be like, I want to see opinions on this idea.
Yeah. Hello, this is Marco from IPv6. I have a question from the chat from Sasha Luke, and he said, next meeting, stateless net 6.4.
Wait, I probably need more coffee, but for stateless NAT 6.4, I need to address end devices in specific way. Right, so I need state because if your device using like privacy extensions, I'm not sure how can I do stateless.
Stateless is one IPv4 for IPv6, doesn't really help.
It doesn't make. I'm pretty sure that if you're talking about, I'm interested in see how it works in real life because and useful for people, right? And I'm pretty sure that stateful for people for like conference network, enterprise network might be much more useful actually than do stateless. Stateless is a good idea, yeah, if you like for data centers when you can just, you know how you number your devices, but for just random uncontrollable devices, my opinion is stateful works pretty well, and you know, it works, I don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
So, Jan George, first the answer to Dimitri's question. If I understood correctly, he asked for publicly accessible Net 6.4. I'm running 3 of them in Go6 Lab. They are publicly accessible. Whoever wants to use them can just set the DNS server to 1 of 3 that are listed on the page. And I think Lorenzo used it to test the 464 XLAT implementation. And the second thing is maybe, Jenny, you can ask your colleagues internally when they are going to implement the 464 XLAT, well, the CLAT activation, not only when you do IPv6 over mobile part, but when you activate the IPv6-only wireless connection. That would help.
I am not ready to comment on the second part, first of all, because I have nothing to do with all these end-user devices here. I'm a plumber, I'm looking after pipes. But thanks for saying that you have publicly accessible solution. Now you probably might need to scale it after we advertise this so widely in this room, and the room is full.
They're big boxes.
Big boxes, great. So please, next meeting, come and tell us how much traffic you see now. Please use it. I really would like to see the reports.
Well, on the topic, I actually have a question, but it's for the working group as opposed to just yourself, Jen. And I'm not going to hold things up with trying to get into this discussion now because we have to stay on track, but I do want to ask, why are we doing this? because when the subject came up with the RIPE NCC a few weeks ago, they asked us working group chairs, it's going to take some time and effort and perhaps some money to make this V6-only network work. Is it worth it? And I went, I have no idea. I don't know what deploying it proves. I can take some guesses, but they're only guesses. So my question for the working group is, if we have this network here running at the RIPE meeting, what are you getting from it, or what would you like to get from it? The question about can we make it the primary network next time is a great question, actually, because there's answers to that, and we can start thinking about what those answers are. And I think it's worth enumerating that to see what the users of this network, which is you guys, it's not really me, what you would need in order to make this your primary network, and then start thinking about how do we get from where we are to where we need to be. So I'd love to see that discussion on the list.
Yeah, if you have any type of feedback on this, just send an email to the mailing list or just to chairs, yeah, because we really would like to hear it.
Okay, oh, we're just coming up on time.
Just a quick one, yeah. I think maybe instead of calling it IPv6-Only Exp, you just call it RIPE-IPv6-Only, just kind of, you know, in the middle of experimental.
Okay.
So it's a slim difference.
I do believe that first let's make everything works fine, and then we can think about polishing names and titles and all this stuff, yeah. I am a simple network engineer. I want to make things work. Marketing is another thing.
Okay, thank you very much, Jen. Thank you all. We're right on time, so we'll try and keep things moving to schedule. Next up is Natalie with Lightning Talk, Lost Stars. Thank you.